Low energy, unfocused, foggy? You might be dehydrated. Whether it's hot yoga, over 100-degree weather, or too much sun. Gator Light, with a specialized blend of 5 electrolytes, was scientifically designed to help move fluids into the body faster for rapid rehydration. Shop now at retailers nationwide. Gator Light hydrates faster than water. Is it in you? Symptoms noted are signs of mild to moderate dehydration. Consult a healthcare professional if symptoms persist.
Pros, find the right flooring for the job in Lowe's newly redesigned flooring showroom. Shop our expanded assortment of trusted brands and get up to 35% off style selections, Stainmaster, and Stainmaster Pet Protect Special Order Carpet. And while you're here, save $100 on a DeWalt 20-volt max 6-amp-hour 2-pack of batteries. Now just $179. Get more of what you need faster and save more where it counts from the ground up. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 8/26 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
This message is brought to you by Apple Card. Shave ice by the beach. A trip to the state fair. And a throwback flick at the local drive-in. They're more than just items to check off the summer bucket list. They're also opportunities to earn 2% daily cash back when you use your Apple Card with Apple Pay. Apply for Apple Card now and use in-minutes with Apple Pay. Subject to credit approval. Apple Card is issued by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, Salt Lake City branch. Terms and more at applecard.com.
From the Fifth Quarter Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to Coach Unplugged. And now, your host, Steve Collins.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Coach Unplugged, episode 627 of Coach Unplugged. We're going to be talking about, I said that already, we're going to be talking to Coach more about kind of his basketball journey. It's going to be a great basketball interview. I hope everyone enjoys it. Another Midwest guy, so I think you will. People have been asking for more interviews, so we're doing our part on our side to give you great content coming over the next month with practice planning and building a program and all sorts of great stuff. But before we do that, I'd like to give a big shout out to our two sponsors. First of all, Dr. Dish, the most advanced shooting machine, in my opinion, on the market. What I love about the people at Dr. Dish is they do such a great job of giving you content on Instagram, on Facebook. If you're looking for workouts, if you're looking for things for your teams, even if you don't have a Dr. Dish, they are giving back to the community. And you can help them out by going over and checking out one of their great machines. Mention Coach Unplugged, everyone but the home one. Mention Coach Unplugged, they'll give you $350 off. Even if you buy the home one, which maybe you need to buy the home one, just make sure you mention us. It really does help keep the lights on here at Coach Unplugged. Also, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. The one-stop shop for basketball coaches. We are working on this site. We are putting up new content every day in this quarantine. It is a community. It is like-minded coaches. There's nothing else on the market like it. If you email me, I will respond. Usually it's about a 3-hour window, maybe a little less than that. But I'm here to help. Go over and check it out, and let's head off to the podcast. All right, welcome to Coach Unplugged. I have Coach Moore on today. So, Coach, you're a Midwest guy, right?
Absolutely, I am.
You are. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and then we have a couple connections I saw when you sent me your stuff. So why don't you just introduce yourself, tell the listeners about you, about kind of your history, and then we'll dive in from there.
All right. I'm originally from Hammond, Indiana, Larry Moore Jr. I'm the head coach at Hammond High School. Went to K through 8 in Hammond, went to high school at St. Francis de Sales, played for my father. I come from a long line of coaches. My brothers coach, both of my parents coached. So that is my pedigree as a coach and as a player. Been involved in the game of basketball since third grade. So
how did you like ball. So my son's a senior, so he's one of these seniors that is going through this horrible time right now. But how was it playing for your dad, and what were the pluses and minuses with that?
The pluses was I was always got time to spend time with my dad. Got to be in the gym unlimited.
Yeah.
However, as a son of a coach, you deal with a lot of dynamics in terms of classmates, teammates, and opponents thinking that you're only on the team because you're dad. So you have a lot to prove as a son. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. We have a great relationship to this day. He's still my mentor. and he's actually the athletic director at the school that I coach at. So I get an opportunity not only play for my dad, I get to work with him every day. So that's a blessing.
Yeah, I tell people, well, first of all, I tell parenting is like the best roller coaster you're ever going to go on. But it was the same coaching. It was the best and the worst of times, if I can quote Dickens, I think a little bit. That yeah, it was great. I wouldn't trade it for anything. But it's a hard people don't realize how hard a dynamic it is.
Right.
If you're the best player or you're the worst player, I think those are the only two really good spots to be. If you're anywhere in between.
And I was the best player my junior and senior year, so it took it as, I was that because of my dad. I mean, he put me in a position, but I still had to perform. And
right. And you're getting more shots because you're the coaches, all that kind of stuff. Right. I know. So tell me about your basketball playing career. I see you played for Coach Pearl. He is an interesting. I met Coach Pearl flipping burgers at Milwaukee. So he got the Milwaukee job, and we were down there. This was when Wesley Matthews was coming through, and he was flipping burgers. He had just come from whatever that D2 school was.
He was at Southern Indiana.
Yep. He was at Southern Indiana, and then he took the Milwaukee job. And the first time I met him, we were there playing in the Milwaukee Summer League, and he's out there flipping burgers. I go, wow, this guy's a workhorse, man. He's flipping burgers. Where his pedigree.
So out of high school, I signed at Eastern Illinois, played a year there. Things didn't really work out, so I transferred into Southern Indiana right after they won the national championship. Played 3 games of open gym to 10. Coach Pearl offered me a scholarship after 3 games. Went on to play for him. Coach Pearl, dynamic man. He is a player's coach.
Right.
He has a passion for the game. He loves his players. He'll go through a brick wall for you, as sometimes coaches want you to do that, so it's vice versa. So I enjoy playing for him. Just the energy that he has on TV is the energy that he has at practice at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. Is no change in energy.
No, it's like a lot of those guys have. First of all, I think that level of coaching has changed so much that it's almost become like I'm being, like a politician. You got to be so good on TV.
Absolutely.
I don't know if the Majerus was pretty funny though, but yes, he's always, all these guys have, everyone I've met at that level, they have so much energy, and they're always like Energizer bunnies. It's crazy. I
know Coach Pearl spends a lot of hours coaching. He loves his faith. He's at mass every Sunday, and after mass, he's back to basketball and his family. So, and it's carried over. He's been successful at every level. So I wasn't surprised when he got Auburn.
No, I mean, it's here. My theory, and this, I've said this a million times. My theory is if you can coach a 3rd grade girls team or an 8th grade boys team, you can coach in the Final Four. It's very similar. The game is pretty similar. All right, so let me jump in and ask. A few questions here. So let's talk practice, because that's been on my mind a lot recently. Okay. So talk about 3 things that you think are important for practice, or some golden nugget that you could share with our audience in terms of practices.
So as a young head coach 8 years ago, I tried to incorporate everything, and I wasn't. So probably in the year 3-4, I started talking to my coaches about we need to focus on 3 things and be great at that. And so number 1 was changing the mentality defensively. So we started practice what we call a pregame, and it's a bunch of defensive drills where we're working on closeouts, being on balance, jumping to the ball, a lot of talking.
I've said too is I think it's like how I set my tone in my classroom or how I set it at practice. It's those first 2 or 3 drills. It's those first 2 or 3 things that if any coach is listening to this, young coach, you set the tone early. Like how practice is going to go is those early drills, and defensively is a great idea.
Yeah, we start off with defense, and the kids know they have to be mentally ready for that first 15 minutes of practice, because we're really stressing communication, jumping to the ball, and it's the same routine. Now, the back end of my practice may switch up, but that first 15 minutes is pretty much set of what we're going to do. Even the day before a game, I still want them locked in mentally, because it says.
Is there anything that you think – like a young coach is listening to this practice wise, that other than like what I kind of said there with setting the tone, you're basically talking about simplifying. You're trying to simplify.
One thing that I think I didn't do a great job at as a younger coach, just because a kid is 16 to 17 years old, you think they should be skilled or have the fundamentals or the terminology together. So you have to coach them for the level that you have. And sometimes you have to dummy things down. We know in math, you can't do multiplication.
You can't do calculus before you can add. Yes.
Absolutely. And so that's one thing that I think I've gotten a lot better at over the years of focusing on the small details leading up into. Because if you can play man-to-man, you can put any zone defense in place, but it has to be the foundation of man-to-man. So my freshman team is not allowed to play any zone. It's man-to-man, you can trap, but it's building that foundation so as they get to JV and varsity that we're able to go more in depth in terms of
Yeah, I've told people that it should be illegal for like middle school and elementary school kids to play anything but man. It should be like against the law. It should be like the social distancing laws that we're all dealing with. It's like, yeah, it should be the opposite of that. Like you have to play man to man because I go to some of these tournaments and they're playing 2-3 zone when they're like 10 years old. What are you doing? Like no one ever remembers that Saturday in January when they
nobody at all, and people are trying to win, and that's kind of the pros and cons of that summer basketball. But we try to stay on top of them. My middle school is running our man-to-man and our different things. So that's been very important.
So dive into that. That's a good side note. Let's dive into that. Tell me a little bit about your youth program and how that kind of works in your system.
Middle school in Indiana, we're 6 to 8. And so over the past few years, my middle school coaches have done a great job of communicating with me and my staff in terms of what is it that they want us to teach? What do we want them to learn? Terminology, different things of that nature. So they are pretty much.
Is it one middle school?
Yes, that feeds into mine. However, we have 4 middle schools in our in Hammond. We have 4 public high schools.
Okay, so you have one middle school that, and like probably 3 or 4 elementaries that feed into that middle. So you have one. So you know where those kids are coming. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But we're on the border of Indiana, Illinois, so there's a lot of movement that takes place with people moving across the border back and forth. So, but for the most place, our students are coming from Eggers Middle School.
Okay. And and I would say that's an important. And then, do you have anything for the little ones like the K through 5?
Over the past few years, I've had a couple of guys step up, do really well, and building our elementary level. And I think it's very important because we were at a place where they were practicing maybe 30 minutes a week. Anybody was coaching them. It was just kind of whoever was in the building. But over the past few years, that's gotten a lot better, which is led to the success of us winning 3 sectional championships in a row.
Right.
We went 20-4 last year. We were stopped, obviously, because of this pandemic, unfortunately.
Right. I know.
But, it's been really good having that network all the way down. It's really helped our program.
So tell me about what would your coaching philosophy be? If you had to, like, someone came in and watched your practice or talked to you, what would they take away?
My teams are known for being the toughest team on the court. Regardless of talent, we're going to play hard every possession. We're going to guard. We're going to get up. We're going to put pressure on you offensively and defensively. So guys that coach against me, they know that you're going to be in for a battle every time you play us. And again, it doesn't always go our way. That's the way basketball is. But I preach every day, we're going to be the toughest team on the floor, period. It doesn't matter who we're facing.
Right. So let's go in a time machine. And so let's say you could go back to yourself when you got this job you're in right now. Mm-hmm. What would you tell yourself if you could go back there right after you got the job? Like, what would be your advice to your younger you is it basically is the question.
Focus in on skill work. Focus in on not so many different things. Find 3 things, focus in on it. For me, it's been defense, it's been ball handling, and it's been passing. So once we became better, and I went back to basic chest passes, down the court, bounce passes. I went back elementary, and we do those to this day.
Right.
We became a better, fundamentally sound team. I didn't do it as much when I first came in, but as I was into about year 3 or 4, I scaled back and went back and made those corrections that I didn't do in the beginning.
I think what's hard for coaches is there's so much noise out there. Like, oh God, look what Bennett's doing in Virginia. Look what Coach K is doing. And everyone, it's like, here's what I tell young coaches: find something that you believe in, that you think will work, and then run with that. You can't be everything to everyone, to be honest.
And to agree with you on that. However, they do a great job, all of them, but they have the personnel every year to plug into that.
Right.
My philosophy one year may be different the next year simply because of personnel.
Right.
I'm not able to plug in a shooter every year. You know, you may have guys that get to the basket.
It's kind of like, I tell people, it's kind of like making soup. You know, you just got to figure out sometimes you put a few extra onions in, sometimes you put some extra. It just depends on who's coming up that pipeline in your school.
Right. You're right.
You know, you know, we would all like to run, you know, like, you know, a Kentucky type team, but you know, you don't necessarily have that talent every year. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What do you think the hardest thing to teach?
The hardest thing to teach is, at this point, being a teammate.
Interesting. Okay. So dive into that deeper. You're the first person to say that to me in like probably a year.
Myself as a player, like, so for instance, my older brother and my younger brother both played downstate. Okay. On the flip side, I made All-State 2 years in Illinois. I would take going downstate and playing on that stage as opposed to being an All-Stater because winning matters to me.
Yeah.
Okay. And so
what I tell my players is mom can't go and buy you, like we've got 3 state tournaments. So I wear the rings and stuff once in a while. And I go, that you can't, mom can't go to Target and buy you one of these, you know?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And so we're in a generation of basketball where everything is about me. It comes from so many different factors, and they're still children. And so what me and my staff may say for a 2-hour period, they may get in the car, somebody else says something different. 7 to 10 different people say things different, social media wise, an uncle. And so you are really trying to make them understand what a basketball team really means and what you have to sacrifice. I've told kids, if you don't want to be a teammate, then you need to swim or run cross country. You need to do an individual sport. Because
I tell them to take up curling.
Yeah.
Take up curling. If you really want to bowling or something like that, come on, take up something that,
So yeah, just that teammate, because kids are so used to bouncing around AAU-wise. They may play for 6 different teams. They'll transfer multiple times.
Right.
And so nobody is really a good teammate. It's not like when I played, we ate lunch together, we hung out after school. Everybody is kind of individualized now, and I think that's really.
And I think as coaches, we got to help them with that a little bit. Because we always say we want them to be leaders and do things that leaders do, but I think we have to tell them what that is. Like,
right.
I always push my leader. Now, my son was one of my leaders this year, and his friend. So it would be like, hey, let's do a team lunch on game days. Do these kind of things. Right. You know, all they need is a little bit of a prod, and then it's like, oh, that makes sense. It'll be fun. Right. You know. What about an actual basketball skill?
A basketball skill that is hard passing.
Teaching passing. Like passing drills don't work. Like I have not found the perfect passing drill yet.
And passing in the post is a lost art because the game has become spread. And so when you do, we had a 6'7", we had a couple good 6'4" post guys, and our post entries at the beginning of the season were terrible. And we focused in, and as I just listened to college basketball and other high school coaches, everybody complained about entry passes. However, we don't have a traditional center anymore or that power forward. And if they're in AAU, it's spread out, it's pick and pop. So they really, truly don't know how to pass to.
It's all that G League, NBA. It's all the screen, how you reading screens. And it's like, which is fine. That's the way the game has moved. Here's what I'll tell you. One thing I do that my college coach told me is he would only let us bounce pass to the post. He would not let us pass straight in, which is an interesting concept. We don't tend to turn it over as much when we have to bounce pass it in. But it is a lost skill. When I ask this question, I think one of the harder things to teach is actually setting good screens. The footwork with that and the footwork with the reads off it is, you and I don't have time to teach all that.
No.
Just because we don't have the time with them. But you just watch that footwork stuff. It's so hard, so conceptual.
So when my bigs finally get set to set a good screen, the guards are going too fast.
Yeah, or they're halfway to the basket already when they get there to get set. Yes.
Right. So I think it's a combination. And if those programs who the young, if they're learning that 3rd, 4th, and 5th, that will help the high school coach. And because you're just repetition, but we struggle with that as well, setting the screens and getting wide and understanding shoulder to shoulder.
It's so hard. It's like, oh my God, I think you could take a month on just teaching them that.
Absolutely.
So could you think of one coaching moment that we could dive into that might help somebody that's listening? Something that happened here, could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Just a story, something that maybe one coaching moment that we could dive into that the audience might find interesting or might learn something from.
So as a young coach, I was an assistant coach for my dad, me and my brothers. So me and all my brothers played college ball. We all played for my dad. And a lot of times we argued on the bench because we all had different visions of what we wanted. But at the end, it was all for the betterment of the team. But what I learned in that is you don't always have to agree with the head coach, but at the end of the day, it's his final call. And whatever he called, we have to live with.
Yep.
And I may not agree with it. And you don't go and talk to somebody, well, he made this bad decision. At that moment, we all have different visions, even my staff. But at the end of the day, I have to make that final call because if we win, it's the kids. If we lose, it's me. Right. But as a staff, we have to come to an understanding that there is going to be decisions that I make that they may not understand because I'm going with the flow of the game.
Right.
And so staffers they're not going to always agree. The crowd doesn't always agree. You just have to live with that as a coach.
Right. And I think as you and I get older, as we get older in the coaching profession, I want as much input. I mean, I literally ask everyone, what do you think? What do you think? Absolutely. Because I know I'm going to make the decision at the end. I have no false sense of like the buck stops with me. Right. So I think for young coaches, there's a sense of insecurity a little bit when all this input's coming in. No, you should do this. You should do this. Well, you should want input. But then you're the key to a good leader is you got to take all that information and decipher it and then make the final decision.
And that decision is done usually in a timeout from a 10 to 15 second span at most.
Right.
That we have to make that decision. But ultimately, like I say, I know my assistant coaches don't always agree with everything, and I can live with that. But at the end of the day, as long as we're on the same page and have the same common goal, I'm okay.
All right, Coach, how about you just tell me one failure that you had that a coach that's listening to this could dive into to learn from? Because what I'm always trying to do with this podcast is just give young coaches or coaches like me information. Right. Is there something that you did that maybe a story or something that happened that a coach could take some failure? Usually people don't get asked this, but something you failed at that we could all learn.
So there was a year I had a sophomore player that I moved up to varsity. Clearly was good enough to be on varsity. I didn't utilize that kid, and he set most of the year. My philosophy now, if I'm going to move a sophomore up, he needs to play. Otherwise, leave him on JV. That was something that I regretted. I apologized to him after the season and said, I screwed up. I should have let you get the reps on JV. But he was so good, but he just didn't make those minutes that I thought he would get. And so
I'm telling you, Coach, it is literally one of the hardest things as a high school head coach to do is to know when to pull that trigger and when not to. So, Wesley played for me. He's playing for the Bucks now. They just did a whole thing, and the guy from the Bucks came and interviewed me maybe 2 days before this whole pandemic thing happened.
Okay.
In the locker room and whatever, and I interviewed, and then they put it up. I think it's on the Bucks website. Anyway, and one of Wesley's comments was, first of all, I always regret not moving him up sooner.
Okay.
The stupid coach doesn't move up the NBA guy until 2/3 of the way through his freshman year.
Right.
But then on this thing, 12 years into the NBA or whatever he is, he comes out and he goes, I think Coach Collins' best decision was he left me down so we could learn what it was like to win. So his perspective and my perspective are like, how many years, 20 years later is totally different. It is so hard because, here's what I have found. It's a very special guard that can move up quickly. It's harder for guards. And bigs, there's something about bigs, that I don't think they're not bringing the ball up. The pressure isn't there. My theory is if they're in the top 7 and I think they're going to get lots of reps, I'm moving. But it's so hard. I mean, I think everyone that's listening to this, been a high school coach long enough, has made that mistake one way or the other,
So what I did to trigger that, my senior point guard now, I threw him in the fire as a freshman.
Yeah.
He won 3 sectionals. He won alongside a senior veteran guard that was really good. However, he was much better than anything else that I had in the program.
Right.
And it was like, why wait? I'm not going to wait. I'm going to throw him in the fire. He does have a veteran alongside him. But
Right.
it's still a hard decision to put a freshman in game one.
And that does help. Like this upcoming year, hopefully we get to play. This upcoming year, I'll have a bunch of senior guards, good players, very good players. And then I'm going to have some youngsters with me too.
Right.
That actually makes for a good mix because you hope these older ones can help the younger ones. It's harder when you're moving all these young ones up and there's nothing there to mentor. There's a threat. There's a like the ones I'm talking about that are really good. They're not going to be threatened by who I move up. They know they can play. They know they got game. It's more when these guys are trying to fight for PT that I think you end up with it. I think that's a great example, Coach. I mean, no one's brought that one up, and it's like I think everyone that's been a high school coach long enough has had that failure.
Yeah, and if they say they didn't, then I don't believe.
Well, then they don't have any. Then they don't have any players because then they haven't had any guys that are like if you're good, if you got a good program, you're always going to have some guys. I always use the analogy with moving kids up, like if my kid's good enough to take calculus as a sophomore, I'm putting him in calculus class. Like
Absolutely.
If they're that smart, why would I keep them in algebra or geometry if they're good enough to take calculus? I always say I run a talented and gifted program for basketball.
I'm going to have to use that one, Coach.
It is. It's true, though. It's like, here's the high school. There's the calc teacher. I teach AP. I teach advanced statistics. I'm a talented and gifted teacher for statistics. So different than basketball. It's just, it's the same with the musical. If you're good enough as a freshman to be on a lead in the musical, you're probably going to be in the lead in the musical. So it's very similar. I always use that with parents. It's anyone that's listening, you can steal that. You're a talented and gifted coach for basketball players. Hey everybody, I hope you're enjoying the interview with Coach Moore. It's always fun. I love talking to high school and youth coaches. I love kind of giving you that tidbit that I don't think is necessarily out there. The big boys are obviously coaching the NBA and college for a reason, but I think seeing what people like us are doing is so beneficial to everyone. But before we do that, I would like to give a big shout out to this episode. Is sponsored by Ladder. Ladder was founded by LeBron James and Arnold Schwarzenegger as a way to change the supplements world. I can tell you, my son, I got a sample from him and poof, it was gone because he's doing all these great workouts. They had scientists basically formulate it, look at it, and unlike other ones, it's tested by a third party, so to make sure it's safe. The packaging, everything is top notch. And the goal is to unlock the best in this situation, which is a bad one with COVID-19. This is a great time to be working out, to lifting, to using supplements, So go over, check them out. Use Better Every Day for 30% off. That is Better Every Day. One word. Let's get better every day. We know we all want to get better every day. That seems like a realistic thing to me. All right, let's head off to the podcast. What's one thing you've learned about basketball in the last?
That it can be taken away so quickly. And
oh God, yes.
And then it put things in perspective. Like we were still in our state tournament. We were actually on the bus heading to regionals, heading to South Bend, and got the news.
So I talk to coaches all over the country. So regionals is actually our first. We go regional, sectional, state. So where is regionals in your pecking order?
So in Indiana, we go sectionals, regionals, semi-state, and we go downstate. We only take 2 teams downstate.
Okay. So that's weird. So you're literally the opposite. Yeah, we're regional, sectional, and you're sectional, regional. That's crazy.
So I think you guys pretty much align with Illinois because Illinois is regional, sectionals, super sectionals, and then downstate.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So how did you deal? Let's dive into that because I haven't really talked to anybody about that. How did you deal with that final? Like you didn't get. So here I'll give you 2 minutes of kind of my story. We lost in the regional finals. It's 32 teams were left at something like whatever, and it was hard. My son and I end of an era, blah blah blah. But we got to end and grieve and be done. Like our season was over. Like we were done. We were at home, but we were done. How do you deal with your athletes and the grieving and that process when you didn't really finish? Like you stopped, but you didn't finish.
So like I said, we won our sectionals. Earlier that following week, that Tuesday, we had our meet. That Thursday is when everything kind of changed, and they said we would have 150 per school. So
Right.
we were planning on playing. Friday morning, we got up, got on the bus, we were on our way down, and then it came across Twitter from our commissioner that it was going to be postponed. At that point, it was rough. We took the kids back to school when they had lunch or what have you, but it was really hard for us. We were 20-4. Really had a great opportunity of going downstate. We hadn't won a regional at our school in over 54 years, and we were the favorite. So this was going to be something that was going to be meaningful to our community.
Right.
My dad, who played, he was number 73, 74. They were number one in the state and got knocked off 2 years in a row. My assistant coach, he lost in the regional championship. So last year we got to the regional championship for the first time since '98. And this year was we felt like we were going to make that jump, and then everything stopped. And then, it was a range of emotions for me for a couple of weeks, not knowing what was going on. And then we had to take a step back to what was going on worldwide with the pandemic.
And it was the same thing here. There was petitions in Wisconsin to postpone rather than, I don't think people realized the stats teacher predicted this. I'd been talking about this about 2 weeks about flattening the curve. We'd actually even talked about we had in once tournaments start, we even had sanitizer. We pre-sanitized and post-sanitized when we shook hands. Because I go, this is real deal, guys. This is gonna hit. We just weren't sure when. But I think in retrospect, everyone's kind of like, whoa, think about all the spring sports. They didn't even get to start in Wisconsin. So I think it had to be a really hard thing as a coach and a teacher to deal with. Yeah.
I had 5 seniors. So, like I say, it was a range of emotions for the parents and things like that. But at that moment, we didn't know how serious this pandemic was. It was just new to everybody. And then come full circle, there was a major event in Indianapolis in sectionals and really good teams in a loaded gym. And fast forward, we had 5 people who have passed from COVID-19 that was at that actual game in the athletic. We all had played in pack.
So is that the one I read about in the paper today? It was packed, I think. It was like 2,200. Yeah.
Yeah, that was down in Indianapolis. We actually played at North Central this year.
Okay.
And that was my first time meeting that AD, well known throughout the state. And he ended up passing. Five total people that were at that game passed away from COVID.
Oh.
So it comes full circle to us. We were playing in the sectional championship game, and that could have took place in our gym.
Right.
We just didn't know.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
So sad. What would you tell a young coach if they wanted to get into coaching?
It's going to be a grind. Be happy with the decisions you make. You lose a lot of friends. A lot of people initially are happy for you to get it.
Your circle gets, and people that are listening and be able to see, your circle of trust gets to be about this big.
Man. You probably trust less than four or 5 people in your circle when you become a head coach. Because you're responsible for running the program. People just see us on a Friday night. They don't understand the dynamic of being responsible for 45 to 50 kids in your whole program and X amount of coaches and X amount of players and parents. And so there's a lot of demands that go on as a head coach that people don't account for. But your circle is going to become small, and you're going to have to be okay with that. It's going to be a lot of lonely periods where you're questioning decisions you made. Should I've done this? Should I've done that? And a lot of those dark hours are by yourself.
Yes. I'm telling you, every time I've lost in tournament in, 20 plus years, it's like, I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have done this. I mean, it's the sleepless nights that you never get back. But I tell people why it's a wonderful thing. First of all, you're making difference in players' lives, but you and I are active participants. Like that's the best part. It's the closest you can get to being a player, but you're really not. The only thing I regret is, like I told my son after it was over, I said, I wish I could have watched you. And I go, well, I was coaching you. I wasn't watching. I said, I wasn't in the stands like the other parents. I was,
And that comes full circle with my dad, because we really me and my brothers, he didn't really talk about our careers until years later.
Yeah. Yeah.
What he appreciated and all of that. But at the moment, you're coaching your son and you are still under pressure as the coach. See, people don't realize as the coach, you're under pressure when your son is playing.
Right.
There's a different pressure that he's dealing with. I coached a kid, Travis Trice, that played at Michigan State, coached him at AAU. He played for his dad, Wayne High School in Ohio. His sophomore year, we were in Arkansas. He said, man, coach, how did you deal with playing for your dad? Man, it's like, I said, little Trav, the noise will stop. You're good. You're fine. You have the IQ. You have the skill set.
Right.
Just, and eventually it'll wear off that people know this.
I mean, he's an exception to the rule too. If you question whether he should be playing and dad's playing, he probably ain't shooting enough, to be honest with you.
Right.
That's the problem with my son, to be honest with you. I raised a kid that was a team player, wouldn't shoot. I mean, he can shoot like no tomorrow, but the problem is he would get yelled at to shoot more.
Oh, see, that wasn't my problem. If I was open, I was shooting. If I wasn't open, I was shooting.
No, that's the problem. And it's like, and then about halfway through the season, one of my assistants goes, "It's like we gotta just stop we gotta stop yelling at Drew to shoot more, like the other players and stuff, because it messes with a shooter's psyche when you're like, shoot it, you know." Right. Like it's one of those things too.
Mm-hmm.
If there's one coach you could talk to, who would you pick? And why?
One coach I could talk to,
living or dead. I'll let you go either way, but
I would go to. I always wanted to play for either Tarkanian or Denny Crum at Louisville.
Okay.
I love those guys. I love the style. I love the way they connected with their players. But I would love to talk to Tarkanian and pick his brain of just his mindset of dealing, because he had a different dynamic coaching at UNLV. That's very Hollywood out there, and so he has to make. How do you contain college kids in Las Vegas? Like, that's a whole different dynamic.
That's a whole different dynamic.
So just his mindset of him being like a mentor and having to be a father figure, a disciplinarian. I know his job. Any coach at UNLV, that's a different dynamic that you have to deal with. So I would love to talk to him. And like Denny Crum, I love the Louisville teams. Love them. I just love the way they got down and played. And
they got dirty.
Yes.
Yeah, they got down and got dirty. So do you have a favorite drill that you'd like to share?
My favorite drill is an Indiana State drill that we start off with at the beginning of practice, where we roll the ball out. The guy has to close out. The guy drives baseline. He gets the ball. He throws. He has to jump to the ball. He closes out at the top of the key.
Yep.
Active hand. Back pedals back. Passes the ball to the other right wing, and that guy drives, and then he has to beat on base, cut off the baseline. So they have 3 different segments, but it's a lot of talking. It's a lot of driving. And it really, you got to go through the drill hard, because if you don't cut off the baseline, the guy drive around. If you're not on balance, you can't go half speed on offense, because then we'll start over. So it's an active drill, but it's so effective. I saw it on YouTube years ago from Greg Lanson, and I'm like, sent it to my assistant coach. He came down to my class. We said, Coach, we got to put this in. So me and him studied it for about a week until we were able to teach it, and then it's been really good for us.
I love that, because it does a lot of things that kids don't do well. I was talking on a podcast, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and one coach uses his iPhone and does a decibel meter during practice. I love that. I'm going to steal so they get the phone out, and if they're not talking enough, he's got the decibel meter on here, and if it doesn't get to the red zone, they start over. It's like, because getting them to talk is such a hard thing to do.
I was just talking to my 8th grade coach about that, man. I have a point guard who's really, really good and plays hard. 3.8, very smart kid. He just don't talk.
I know. One of my better players next year. He's getting better than he was as a sophomore, but he's just quiet. That's his personality. But it's like, oh my God. Thought for the day or quote of the day. Do you have one of those? What was the one you sent me? It was a John Wooden one, right?
Yeah, the John Wooden.
I can read it. It says, and you can explain what you meant by it. It says, don't measure yourself by what you've accomplished, but by what you should have accomplished with your ability. So don't measure yourself by what you have accomplished, but what you should have accomplished by your ability. What do you mean by that?
So I could take myself. So we've had success on the back end as me being a head coach, but had I been a little more detailed at the beginning, my pedigree is coaching from my parents and my brother, and having played for some very good college coaches and a good high school coach. I should have I feel like I should have started off better in my teaching
Okay.
of the fundamentals. I just kind of jumped into it and we got right to it. I should have scaled back and I would have had more success at the beginning. Now, I've never had a season under 500. However, I should have been better because of my IQ and my.
So I'm going to defend you on this, Coach, from a former player too. The hard part about the conversion, especially for young coaches or people that were players, is the game is so different from the player standpoint to the coaching standpoint.
Absolutely.
It's literally like when you hang up those sneakers, you got to literally take that hat off and throw it away, because there are parts of the game that coincide, but it's a whole different world over here in the coaching world than it is in the playing world.
It took me some years as an assistant, and then it started back over as a head coach.
I never thought about pivots. I never thought about like whether that was always a good shot. What are you talking about, a bad shot? Like those, you don't think about those things when you're playing, because you're playing. You know, it's like so I think that's one of the things. What big change you've seen in the game, you know, since you played to now?
The free flow of offense, the spacing, and players have a lot more ability to kind of free flow play, where we always had two posts in the middle. It was more of a 3 out, 2 in. They dump it down the screen across. So those driving lanes weren't open. We definitely didn't shoot as many threes collectively. Everybody shooting threes, all 5 guys. And some coaches teach to shoot the 3 first. So I just think the spacing, which is not a bad thing. The spacing created more free flow. But I know our kids now have way more freedom on the court than we did as players.
Oh, are you kidding? I mean, it's crazy the amount of freedom they have. They don't get it. No.
And I'm guilty of it, because even my assistant coaches will say, man, I would love to play for him. He lets you play, and that's just kind of the dynamic that we're in right now.
I think it is. I think it's the way the game is moved too, and it's about spacing. It's about like I never loved Wesley. Wesley's like number 9 all time in 3-point, some crazy percent. I don't know. I didn't even let him shoot threes in high school hardly at all.
I got a chance to coach against him in the TBT tournament a couple years ago.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, he was coaching the Marquette team, and I was coaching with the Illinois Hoopville when it was in Chicago.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Really nice guy. Really
he
nice.
Is. Now, that's all real, too. It's like he's just one of those upstanding guys. All right, so when we end here, Coach, there's a couple things I do. First one is I do rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you a question. You got to give me one word answer, okay? All right, first one is, what is your favorite brand of basketball to play with? Now, I'm talking about like Spalding, Rock, that kind of thing, not like fast pace or slow pace, or favorite brand of basketball. The actual Wilson. Why?
Because of the grip. I love using it as a player in the shooting. I hated the rock ball when we had to go on the East Coast and play in college. It was really hard.
It was hard. I don't like the rock either.
Yeah, the Wilson has a good feel. You're able to shoot the ball with it well.
Okay, one word to describe your ideal player.
IQ.
Okay, if you go to one sporting event, what would it be?
College football.
Okay. Your favorite pregame meal?
Loose cheeseburger.
What is that, like a brand or is that a place?
There's a place in Hammond, Indiana, and they make their burgers like a Sloppy Joe, and it's called Mavic. So I'm shouting out Mavics on here, but it's like it's a loose cheeseburger. It's like Sloppy Joe style, but it's a cheeseburger, and it is phenomenal.
That sounds – I'm hungry, Coach. I haven't eaten yet. That sounds really good. Okay, so first of all, we didn't even talk about Indiana basketball. We'll do that after this because I got some thoughts on Indiana's basketball. All right. Do you have a superstition?
Yes, and it's crazy. If we win a game, I get stuck and I want to wear the same black pants or whatever color and the same socks.
Okay.
Now, I'll wash them, but if we win, I'm going to keep wearing them. As soon as we lose it, it may take 6 or 7 games before I touch that pair of black slacks again.
Okay.
I might wear a different pair of black slacks, but I'm not touching them.
Not touching that pair. Okay. One skill not being taught in today's game.
How to box out.
One thing you do to relax.
Play with my 3-year-old son.
I remember those days. One coaching technique you consider important.
Communication.
Best basketball player you've seen in person.
Kevin Garnett in high school.
Best basketball player of all time.
Michael Jordan.
Yep, I would agree. I'm putting out in the world because I think we're 5 or 6 years away from it. I think Giannis is going to be that. I'm hoping at least as a Bucks fan.
He's getting there. If he
He's
gets
getting
a
there.
jump shot, he's gonna be in that talks.
He is. One thing you help you become a better coach.
Patient.
Best game. Best player you've seen in person. You said that. Best game you've seen in person. My bad.
Best game I've seen in person would have been when Jason Kidd was at California's freshman year, and they came in Chicago and played at the Rosemont Horizon. I'd never seen a player like that.
I know. The special ones are just like oh my god,
speed and how fast he was at that size. It was unreal.
You know what I think with those kind of players too? They see the court. It's almost instinctual. Like
Yes.
There's something that you can't teach. Like what did you see? What? Like you just know. One word to describe your coaching style.
Tough.
The top bench player of all time.
Top bench player of all time, because the Lakers, and top bench player of all time. We have to go with Jamal Crawford.
Best basketball coach of all time.
Best basketball coach of all time. I am stuck between Phil Jackson and Red Auerbach.
One book you would recommend.
Tim Grover, Relentless.
Okay, tell me about that book. I haven't read that one.
So he breaks down the different type of people there are in the world. So for one of the examples, you have people who are okay with a good game, a good season, and a good career. Those are 3 different types of people.
Okay. I'm going to have to read that one.
Yeah, it is a great read. It applies to business. It's not just a sports book, but it's a mentality that's created. But each person is different. He said pretty much when Michael won a championship, everybody celebrated. Mike shifted his mindset to I need another one, where some people are just comfortable there. Within a week, he's already shifted his mindset into winning another one. He's over that goal. He's into the next stage.
Into the next goal. I love that. One thing you'd change about the game.
The threes.
It's
too many threes, and a lot of kids are shooting them too deep.
I'd make the court wider.
Yes.
And longer, to be honest with you. For the bodies have just gotten so big, at least at our level in high school. It's like this court isn't big enough anymore.
Yeah, they need to. I would agree with that. They probably need to expand it as close to colleges because these guys are pretty big and definitely more athletic than they were when we played.
Right. All right. So last thing, and then I want to come back and circle back around about India and basketball. But so I call this leave it, change it, or replace it. So you can leave what I'm going to talk about. You can leave it the way it is. You can change it, or you can replace it. All right. Quarters versus half. Would you change halves?
I would leave it.
Okay. Jump ball.
Leave it.
Shot clock.
Change it. We need the shot clock.
Okay. 3-point shot.
Move it back to the college.
Yeah, I would. I think I would move it back because the college is moving. The college moved, I think, right?
Yeah, they moved already. So
they did. I think Division III hasn't. I think Division III is moving next year or something. They're giving them an extra year to paint the floors and stuff. But
gotcha.
I think that might be a little far for like lower division high school. I think somewhere in between where a college is and where we are, I think is a good
middle of it. Yeah.
Summer basketball.
A lot of changes need to be made. I feel there needs to be a balance of high school and AAU. I mean, I coach AAU, so I'm not against AAU, but it needs to be a balance. Coaches need to be on the same page.
Right.
If you coach our kids in the summer, then you need to talk to us about what it is that you want them to work on when they're away from us.
Right. And here's my theory is I think at least the top Division I teams should have an assistant coach that all they deal with is high school coaches.
You're right.
That they can't coach during the season. They can go out and watch high school games because there is a difference between watching a high school game and watching a summer game.
Absolutely.
You do, and I'm not saying one's better than the other. But there are, there's more system things going on in a high school game, and there's more like talent versus talent in the summer games.
And they're not really guarding. There's not many strategies.
No.
In the AAU game, and so guys are scoring crazy, and then they come back and they struggle because the scouting report,
right,
coaches are taking away things that are not taken away in the AAU setting.
Right, and that's where I think that it would be nice at the Division I level if they had that. Like your job is you can go out in the summer, but then you can't coach or do anything with the college team during the season.
Right.
You can't sit on the bench, but you can go out and on a Friday night spend your time in Indiana or Wisconsin watching a player.
Actually see them in that setting or come to a practice and really get an understanding of what this kid can do or not do.
Right. I think that would be a better use of resources, but I don't think any of that's going to happen with what's happening. With a fine, I don't know if there's going to be college football this year. So Indiana basketball, do you wish, this is where I'm circling back to this before we finish up. Do you wish there was still one division in Indiana basketball?
I would say about 2. I would be okay with 2 divisions. 4 is kind of, it hurts the attendance.
We have 5.
Wow, in basketball.
It's too many, to be honest with you. We should have 3 in Wisconsin. We have more than like Michigan.
I think that early on games when it was the section, that's usually your local people. A lot of teams are driving 15, 20 miles or more, where before it was like a 12 to 8 mile radius of all the schools, and the fans were there. But now everything is so spread out. I think all the classes have hurt the attendance.
I think it has too, and I don't necessarily know. I mean, it's all a Hoosier thing, kind of, But I don't think one division is necessarily the answer. But I think they've gone too far the other way. But I don't think we're going to go back. I don't think we're going to go back just because our 4A is so much more dominant than the 1A teams. Right.
It would never be fair.
No. And the thing is, and now what they're doing is at least in our state, they're trying to figure out, well, all these teams stopped in the, Final 4 or the Elite 8. Shoot, I wouldn't surprise me if they gave everybody trophies that basically that was still playing. Like, who knows what's going to happen?
We were down to the Final 64 of the whole state, and
right.
But I wouldn't want a trophy that way. We didn't get to compete.
No, I mean, it's like it's the COVID years, basically the way you got to kind of look at it. It's like crap. I'm just hoping we get season next year. Well, thank you for coming on, Coach. I love talking to other high school coaches from all over the country. So
I appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate it. Thanks. Hey, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that podcast. Make sure you subscribe and like. Make sure you go over and check us out on YouTube, Teach Hoops on YouTube. It's a great channel, always putting new videos up there. Also, make sure you go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Do you want to win that conference championship? Do you want to win that state championship? Do you want to win that tournament? Let me help you do that. Go over and check it out. Have a great day.